Good evening, beautiful people. Welcome back to the CKM Red Rugby League channel for what is yet again your round 24 NRL preview. We are 2 weeks away from the NRL finals. There are plenty of changes for all sides. Matthew not with us this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you may be watching, all around Australia and the world. He has a well-earned week off. He's taken a break before finals. So, without further ado, let's get us cracking with Thursday night football. It is Newcastle and the Titans in what is going to be a very, very big game in the grand scheme of the finals makeup. Both teams within the 8 for the moment, but results pending, who knows. For the Knights, it is more or less unchanged. It is Ponga at the back with Tuala and Hunt. Kurt Mann, Bradman Best are your centres. Clifford and Pearce remain in the halves. Suaso Sue comes off the bench into the starting prop position. No David Clemmer. He's out potentially for the season. Knights pending finals and other results. He teams up with Jacob Saifidi. Jaden Brayley is in the 9. Tyson Frizzell, Mitch Barnett, and Connor Watson are your back rowers. Brodie Jones, Chris Randall, Josh King, and Mamosia in the 17 is the bench. Jack Johns, Basami Solo, Simi Sasungi, and Phoenix Crossland in the reserves. For the Titans, obviously Brimson's still out, likely out for the season. Jayden Campbell remains at the back. No Greg Marziu this week, so Phil Sammy and Corey Thompson are in, alongside Brian Kelly and Pat Herbert. Peachy is in the 6. No Sexy Boy, no Toby Sexton, no Sexy Dance this week. Peachy takes the 6 with no Ash Taylor. Jamal Fogarty remains in the halves. Wallace and Fasua Malawi are your props. Mitch Rain is in the 9. Kevin Proctor, Bo Firma, Sam McIntyre are your back row with Aaron Clark, Dave Fafita, Mo Fodawaker, and Jamin Jolliffe. The aforementioned Toby Sexton and Greg Marziu, they're both on the extended bench alongside Sam Lasone and Isan Masters. Big game. Really, really big game for both sides. It's going to come down to the halves. There's no question about it. Tyrone Peach and Jamal Fogarty, I don't think, have played together in the halves for a hot minute. I say for a hot minute. It's more likely than not the season. They haven't played this season. I'd be hard-pressed to find them last season as well, as to whether they've played or not. So it's going to be interesting to see how they combine. Peachy has been playing more of a rotation hooker or a forward this year. As for the Knights, Clifford and Pearce starting to mesh together. It's been really good to watch. It's been fantastic to see. The Knights now, obviously, with their spine, they've got Ponga, Clifford, Pearce, and Brayley all starting to come together. And it's looking really good. Bradman Best is kind of out of his slump. He's had a fantastic last couple of games, and he's got a chance here against a Titan side who's got a lot to play for. The Knights are 7th, and basically, if they get a result out of this game, they're guaranteed finals. Mathematically, they can still go out, but otherwise, results pending, they could seal the deal this week with a win at Sunshine Coast Stadium. In terms of tips, the Knights, looking on the sports bet, obviously gamble responsibly. The Knights are your $1.85 favourites up against the Titans, who are currently at $1.95. The line is 1.5. The over-under at 9:40 on Tuesday, 49.5. Anytime try scorers, well, you really could pluck one out of the bag here. Both sides not really great in defense at the moment. The Knights better, more so than the Titans, but they've got some exhilarating attacks. We saw last week the Titans with Jayden Campbell, an absolute bat out of hell at some points. He was lights out playing at the back there. As for playing for the Titans there, sorry. As for the Knights, obviously, Kalen Ponga, a big-time threat. He's going to look to wrap around the back of Pearce, Clifford, and drag some attention away from them. Titans aren't really known for some great sliding defense. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Heimel Hunt go over. He'll be one of my anytime try-scorer tips. If you're looking for any value, Frizzell and Barnett against Proctor and Firma. Fafita is to come off the bench, but that'll be after about 20 minutes or so. So, I think there's a strong opportunity there for someone like a Barnett to go over against Proctor, go over early. He'd have to. They've also got to shut Fafita down when he comes on. If they're able to shut Fafita down, then I think there's a big opportunity that the Knights get out of this with the win. In terms of 1 to 12s, 13 pluses, the team to go for. Tough one. Titans need to win this. I think they're 8th at the moment on the ladder as it currently sits. In terms of a points differential, they're probably on the better side of it. As we just pull the NRL ladder up now. The Titans are 9th, sorry, not 8th. Their points differential are minus 46. The Sharkies are a minus 32. So, tough one. Really tough one. The Knights, their points differential is absolutely shot. If they lose both games and results don't go their way, there is a chance that they drop out of the 8. It's as simple as that. So, I think the Knights get this one. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a Knights 1 to 12. Over under 49.5. I'm going the over. Heimel Hunt, anytime try scorer. Mitch Barnett would be my value tip for a night. For a Titan, if you're looking at anyone, look, you could go a lot of ways here. I think Jayden Campbell's starting to get himself into NRL football. He's looking good. He's starting to get that gel and that mesh with his halves partners. It wouldn't surprise me to see him go over again. Another shout, Tyrone Peachey is a ball runner. He's a ball runner out of dummy half. He's a ball running forward. I would not be surprised to see him go over at some point. He would be quite some good value, I'd imagine, for the Titans, currently paying $4. Those are probably the two value ones there, Barnett and Peachey. But for me, Knights 1 to 12, I think they secure their place in the final, and they will kick us off with Thursday night football. We will carry on with Friday night, and Friday night football, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, this could very well decide whether, if the Knights lose, this game could very well decide if the Knights are good for the top 8 or if they definitely have to win next week. It is the Warriors and the Raiders from BB Prince Stadium in Mackay. We are going regional off a Friday night football. This one on Fox Sports. Reece Walsh in the 1 with Teddy Zalesniak and Marcelo Montoya are your wingers for the Warriors. Peter Heku and Marcelo Montoya are the centers for the Warriors. Sean O'Sullivan is in. No Harris Tavita this week. He is out. Haven't seen whether it was an injury or if it was a dropping. It just says he's out of the side on NRL.com. So take for that what you will. I thought he was one of the best for the Warriors last week. But Townsend gets the start in the 7 this week, having played in the 22 last week. Adam Fanua Blake and Matt Lodge are back. That is your front row, and I am scared if I'm a Raiders supporter with Wade Egan in the 9. Josh Curran, Ewan Aitken, Bailey Siranen are the back row with Nikarima Afoa, Katoa, and Jazz Tavanga on the bench. Tanoa Brown, Rocco Berry, Kane Evans, Jack Murchie, the extended bench. For the Raiders, Jordan Rapiner back in the 1. Chance Nickel-Clockstad will stay on the bench for now. Bailey Simonson and Harley Smith-Shields are the 2 and the 5. Seb Chris, Matt Tomoko in the centres with Jack Whiten and Matt Frawley this week starting at halfback. Josh Papali'i, Josh Hodgson, and Joey Tarpany, your props and hookers with Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, and Ryan Sutton, the back row. Charles Nickel-Cookstar in the 14, as previously mentioned, Emery Gula, Corey Horsburgh back from the Dogs, back into the Raiders side with Havili in the 17. Sam Williams dropped to the 18 to the extended bench. Danamis Louis, Semi Valame, Trey Mooney are on the extended bench. Another tough one. The Warriors, they could have done it last week. They should have done it last week. It depends on who you ask, but Reece Walsh potentially costing the Warriors a finals berth, depending on what way you look at it, depending on what side of the coin you sit on. They've got an uphill battle from here. They need results to go their way. A points differential of 115 in the negative does not help them at all. They're going to struggle even if they win both games to get themselves into the 8. The Raiders, same thing. Could have done it last week. Should have done it last week. No, who am I kidding? Should have done it last week. No, that it just wasn't going to happen. They are on equal points with the Sharks, who are in 8th place. Unfortunately, the points differential not helping them either. They are a negative 85. Do or die. It's do or die. It's a great way to start Friday night football. The Raiders in 10th, the Warriors in 11th. The winner, potentially, results pending, can put themselves into the 8, or at least in contention for a top 8 spot. The loser can very well, especially in the Warriors' case, kiss their season goodbye. And there's no other way to look at it. Reece Walsh, no doubt, will be practicing his goal kicking this week at training, having kicked 1 from 5 last week in the narrow loss to the Brisbane Broncos. Key matchup here. Honestly, I can't look past the centres. Matt Tomoko, Seb Chris against Peter Hiku, who was superb last week. Probably his best game in a Warriors uniform this year, and Adam Pompey. Whoever wins that battle, I think wins the game. Jack Whiten, obviously, is going to play a big part in this Raiders lineup. Matt Frawley will do a lot of the short kicking. Whiten will go long. But you've got Sean O'Sullivan and Chad Townsend, who are 2 game managers playing for the Warriors. That's fine to some extent because Reece Walsh will bring that spark into the attacking red zone lineup. But I don't know if I'd want them as my 2 halves when you do have someone like Cody Nikorima on the bench. So I would imagine that Warriors fans will be watching that space. They'll be watching the lineups that get released at 6 o'clock on Thursday and again an hour before on Friday afternoon to see how they go. But good to see them getting some Friday night football in what is a do-or-die clash. Adam Fanua-Blake and Josh Papali'i, Matt Lodge and Joey Tarpany. Big boppers, big hitters, strong runners, all of them, bar Matt Lodge, and even then, Lodge has an offload of his own. That's going to be a big battle with Gula, Havili, Horsburgh on the bench for the Raiders, Afoa, Katoa, Jazz Tavanga on the bench for the Warriors. Big, tough, strong lineups there, big forward packs. They've got to find a way to shut down that offload. They've got to find a way, the Raiders, to shut down Josh Curran. He's been superb this last month, really, after he got out of hotel quarantine. He's been lights out for these Warriors. He's on a bit of a try-scoring spree at the moment. One of the better second rowers down the stretch in this competition. In terms of tips, do or die, who do, who die. I think the Raiders die in this one. I'm going to go the Warriors 1-12. They should have won last week. It's as simple as that. They know they should have won last week. You can look at it however you want with Reece Walsh. His conversions were from tough spots. They were from really tough spots. And he still had the balls to go for the 2-point field goal. And he struck it sweetly. It would have cleared from 50 had the strike gone over the post. It would have cleared 50. I have no doubt. The Raiders just don't have that game breaker for me. I get that they've got Whiten. He's going to be strong on the edges, but the edges for the Warriors are probably their strongest part of the lineup. Aitken, Curran, Hiku, Pompey. That's a strong edge on both sides. Once you throw Katoa into the mix, if he's got to fill in on the edge, you're not losing anything there. If anything, if you put him on the side of Aitken, you gain an offload. So it's going to be a tough time for Jack Whiten, who I think is going to have to float across both sides of the field. Ruppen has looked good at the back, don't get me wrong, but he's not Reece Walsh. He's not a game breaker. Walsh, in the limited time he's had this year, has been insane. He's been a bright spark for every side, every game he's played. He's been fantastic. I don't see this going the way of the Raiders. I really don't. In terms of an anytime try scorer, I'm not going to touch the over-under on this one. I believe the over-under is about 51, but I'm still not going to touch it. This is a volatile game to tip for your over-under. It's 49 at the moment. Anytime try scorers, look, you could pull rabbits out of hats here. My immediate thoughts, I'm looking at someone like a Dallin Lateni-Zalesniak lining up against the numbers going against Smith Shields, who's okay in the air, but with Lateni-Zalesniak has the height. And I think the height will be what gets him there. Marcelo Montoya, who came off a pretty good game last week, lining up against Xavier Coates, he could definitely be in with a shot as well. Hard not to tip Josh Curran in his current form. Try to say that a few times fast. Scored a barnstormer last week, crashing over from close range. If he lines up against Whitehead, look, big-time possibility there that he hits his beautiful little trademark hit and spin play and goes over. As for the Raiders, Hiku had his best game defensively last week, but it doesn't always end like that. Hiku has his moments. Tomoko is a big boy. He's a strong ball runner, a really strong ball runner. I've got no doubt that he could very well crash over for one. The Warriors also tend to get a little sloppy later in the game through the middle with their defense. Do not be surprised if someone goes hustling through and you have someone like a Whiten, a Frawley, or a Parner backing up on the inside like a good half does. I also would not be surprised to see Hodgson go over from close range. They're not official tips, but I think that is something to keep in mind if you are going to go on an anytime try scorer bet. But the first Friday night game in what is a top 8 clash. Friday night football. A top 4 clash at 8 o'clock from Suncorp Stadium. The Sydney Roosters, a battered and brutal Sydney Roosters, against a South Sydney side who is basically full strength. It is a big-time game with top 4 ramifications. The Roosters hanging on by a thread. I say by a thread because if they lose this game and Manly get up, Manly go top 4. If the Roosters lose this game and Parramatta somehow, some way, get up against the Melbourne Storm, they could drop back down to 6th. Realistically, that won't happen, but we'll get to that. 3rd v 4th, the Bunnies and the Roosters. The Roosters lineup. Good luck. That's all I have to say. James Tedesco is your fullback in what is probably one of the only non-change spots this week. Your wingers, Daniel Tupou, with former Dog and Cowboys player, Canberra player, I should say, Brad Abbey. He was lights out for North Sydney, has been on the extended bench a couple of times this year, has not been able to crack the top flight until now. He's on the wing for his first game this year. Lockie Lamb will move into the 3. No halves for him this week. With the injury to Adam Kieran, Joey Manu remains in the 4, Drew Hutchison, and the utility express, the nightmare of Sam Walker coming off the bench last week. He was superb for the Roosters in his 30-minute cameo against the Dragons. He's back in the 7. Waria Hargraves and Sia Takiaho are your props. Sam Beryl's in the 9. Egan Butcher, Satili Tupanua, Isaac Liu, your back row and lock. Ben Marshke back for the first time in about 10 rounds. And I apologise if I butcher the name here. Fo White, Fletcher Baker, and Benny Thomas. Moala Graham Taufa, Tuku Hao Tapua, and Daniel Suluku Fafita are your 18, 19, and 20. There is no 21. That's how battered the Roosters are. I apologise if I butchered any names. For the Bunnies, you'd argue a much stronger lineup. Latrell Mitchell back at fullback, no change there. Alex Johnson and Jackson Paulo, who comes back into the side after the MCL injury to Josh Mansell that will likely see him out for the year. Dane Gagai, Campbell Graham, 3 in your 4 with Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds in the halves. Mark Nichols, Damien Cook, Tommy Burgess, 8, 9, and 10. Jaden Sewer, Jai Arrow, and Cam Murray, 11, 12, 13. No Kaloa Matangi for this week or next week. He'll be back for week 1 of finals after a 2-game suspension. Benji Marshall, Jacob Host, Vita Totola, Hame Sele are your bench for the Bunnies. Liam Knight, Blake Taff, Peter Mamazoulis, Tane Milne, the extended bench. Bunnies 1 to 12. The Roosters are battered. They are bruised. They are hurting. They are struggling, but they still find a way to get themselves playing. They still find a way, and I don't know how, they still find a way to win and to grind it out and to get the points. And again, I've got no idea how or why, because they shouldn't be able to do that, but they do. James Tedesco, 300-plus meters last week, a stupid amount of tackle bust, an inane amount of impact on the game. Daniel Tupou, a hat-trick. He was superb in a tough battle there on that left side. Lockie Lamb was great in really what was the utility role that he had to play. Sam Walker, already mentioned his impact. He was great. The forwards were superb. Taukei'aho's goal kicking, holy crud, has that been missed? For the Bunnies, I mean, for the most part, they're set. Their change is a winger and a second rower, but it's not really a ball-playing second rower. So who knows? Who very well knows how that could go? You'd still think Jayden still was going to play 80 minutes. He's just that good of a player that you could easily make a big claim for him being an anytime try scorer, just because these Roosters forwards, they can't seem to string games together. Speaking of anytime try scorers, Daniel Tupou, yes please and thank you, coming off a hat-trick, coming up against Jackson Paulo, who's fine in the air. He's fine, but he's not Daniel Tupou. Daniel Tupou would be just lights out if he was playing in the NRL. Obviously, he's not. In the AFL, sorry. Obviously, he's not. We're very happy that he's in the NRL. We're very happy that he's a New South Welshman. Don't be surprised if he gets another double, another hat-trick maybe. The distinct possibility there. AJ going up against Brad Abbey. Look, honestly, you could easily throw a multi. I'll check my little same-game multi courtesy of Sportsbet. Again, gamble responsibly. Danny Tupou currently paying $1.91. The Roosters paying $4 if you feel so inclined. Daniel Tupou at $1.91, I think is just screaming value. Hard not to have Alex Johnson. You put those two together for anytime try scorers. It's $2.75. Yeah, not bad. Don't mind that. Love. You know that Latrell Mitchell, Dane Gagai are going to be both targeting Lachlan Lamb. Latrell at 183. If you throw him in with the other two, it's $5.25. Dane Gagai, if you throw him in with the other two, it's $7. That's the way I'd likely go. I would likely go Gagai, Tupou, and Johnson with the Bunnies win. That's paying $8 on Sportsbet. Take with it what you will, but I don't mind that. Not a heck of a lot of value, but there's something there. There's definitely something to be said there. It just is what it is. I don't think the Roosters get away with this one. The injury toll's too much. The changes are too many, especially in the outside backs. I know the Bunnies have a couple of changes, but I just think that they're too good. It is what it is. I just think they're too good. He's just that good of a player. And as a result, they get the win. If you disagree, feel free to comment on both Facebook and YouTube. Obviously, if you're streaming on YouTube, like, subscribe, throw in a comment. You all know the drill by now. Saturday afternoon, we kick off at Brown Park up at Rocky for the Dragons and the Cowboys. The Cowboys out of finals contention. The Dragons, believe it or not, despite the fact that they're 0-5 in the last 5 games, have a chance. They have a chance, albeit not great, of making the 8. Can they do it? Don't know. Really don't know about that one. Tyrell Sloan is in the one for the Dragons. Matt Feeney and Michaeli Ravalawa are the wingers. Jack Bird, Zach Lomax in the centres with Talatau Amone and Corey Norman. Amone looked quite good in the 6. Blake Laurie in the 8 with Josh Maguire. That Matty would be praying to whoever he prays to. He'll be very happy tonight, well, this morning over there in the UK, that Maguire, the experiment at 9, is done. Jaden Sullivan cannot be left out anymore. He slots into the 9. Billy Burns, Tarek Sims, Jack DeBellin, the 11, 12, 13. Freddie Lussick, Tyrell Fui-Mayono, Danny Alvaro, Jackson Ford are your bench players. Kate Ellis, Pawasa, Farmasili, Gerard Beale, Josh Kerr, the reserves. For the Cowboys, Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow was named in the centres, is now at fullback. He played there last weekend. He's named there this week. Felton Talangi are on the wing. Val Holmes will be in the centres. No Jake Granville there this week. Ben Hampton shifts inside as well. Scott Drinkwater, Tom Dearden, You Beauty, 6 and 7. Big change for the forwards. Big change for the forwards. I can understand why. I absolutely can. Jason Taumalolo is in the 8. He's the starting prop alongside Jordan McLean. Cowboys fans, the babies are in the air. Throw them up. You know you want it. You know you love to see it. Jason Taumalolo's in the middle. Get him up there. Ben Condon, Helam Lukey, Reuben Cotter, 11, 12, and 13. Jake Granville, Jeremiah Nanai, Mitch Dunn, Griffin Neem, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Tommy Gilbert, Dejan Arcee, Queensland representative Frankie Molo, and Latia, is it Moki Dreki? I apologize if I butchered that. But the try scorer from last week is in the 21. Can the Dragons win and keep their finals hopes alive? That is the $64 million question for the 3 o'clock Saturday game. I don't think they do. I do not think they can. At times against the against the Roosters, I thought they were going to do it. I dead set thought at 14-10 and 16-14 that it was on and that the Dragons were going to get up. I don't think you could have told me otherwise. I was shocked watching it. But then in typical Dragons fashion, they choked. Sam Walker came on. They couldn't shut him down. It opened up James Tedesco and Danny Tupou. Couldn't shut it down. It is what it is. Can they shut down Kyle Felt against Michaeli Ravalawa? If we look at what happened last week, I would say no. Can you shut down Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, knowing full well that you could potentially have Val Holmes sweeping around the back on one side, Tabuai-Fidow on the other, and you're going to have both coming through the middle at one point? In parts, yes. But for 80 minutes, no. Can you shut down Jason Taumalolo in the middle? No. Now, the next question. Reuben Cotter is going to play a big, important role. He may not play 80 minutes, but Reuben Cotter will be solid. He's a very good defensive player, and whilst he doesn't provide the go-forth at lock that Taumalolo does, he provides a passing game because, as we know, he has played hooker, he has played centre, and he has a good pass on him. I can understand why Cotter is there. He has the better passing game. It means Taumalolo can just do what he does best, and that's run, and run hard. Grandel in the 14, I mean, at this point, he's a utility player. He's played fullback. He's played centre. He's been on the wing for minutes at a time. Has played 9, has played 13. Put him wherever he's going to play. He's too valuable of an asset not to leave out. Mitch Dunn, Griffin Neem, Jeremiah Nanai, that I think have been brilliant for the Cowboys. They're playing for pride at this point. They're playing in regional Rockhampton. It's Cowboys territory. Rocky is north. Rocky is Cowboys territory. I think the Dragons are done. We said last week, Matthew and I have said last week, Matty said it 2 weeks ago, the Dragons will not win another game this year. This is their best chance. This is St. George's best chance to win one more game before the season is out. But they're not going to do it. The Cowboys will get up. They will break their own duck. Both teams coming in with the 9-5 record. And the Cowboys will jump back over the Broncos, at least before the Broncos game. In terms of anytime try scorers, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's so up in the air. Obviously, Kyle Felt, I think, is the obvious one. $1.62 going up against Michaeli Ravalawa. You could also make a case for the RAV4 at $1.50. Not a lot of value there. If you want to go with a little bit of value, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow at $2.30, Val Holmes at $2.40, good chances. Ben Hampton at $3.20. We mentioned last week he played on the wing last year, played very well, was their leading try scorer at points for the Cowboys. Big time chance. Jason Taumalolo is also at $4.50. Jared Davenport, the Dragons are done. I mean, the Dragons were done about 6 weeks ago, mate. Let's not joke ourselves here. The Dragons were done about 6 weeks ago. But it's pretty bad at this point. It's real bad at this point. Cowboys 13+. That's where I'm going here. Cowboys 13+. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Jason Tamalolo, Michaela Ravalawa, and Kyle Fell. Those are the four I'm looking at in terms of try scorers. 5:30 Saturday game. Well, the Sharks need to win. It's as simple as that. If they don't beat the Broncos, the Sharks very likely, or very possibly, drop out of the top 8. And even if the Sharks and the Titans both lose, if the Sharks get thumped, they drop out in points difference. The thing going for the Sharks, though, and the thing that as tipsters we have to remember is that Cronulla went to Suncorp 5-6 weeks ago, I think it was now. Everyone was thinking, yep, Sharks are going to go up. They're going to win 13 plus. I think myself and Matty said 13 plus. And they lost. And they lost bad. I think it was 26-18. They want revenge. They're playing Brisbane again at Suncorp. Sharks are the home side, so don't really know how that quite works out. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And so if the Sharks don't win, they're done. I'll go ahead and say if the Sharks don't win, they're done. If the Sharks win, they're a top 8 side. Fullback is Will Kennedy. Sione Katoa and Marwan Hiroti. He gets the start in the wing. Obviously, Mulatalo out for the year in what's been a very tough year for him. Hopefully, he is able to recover quickly from a pretty gruesome jaw injury. Connor Tracy and Jesse Ramian, the 3 and the 4. Luke Metcalf stays in the 6 with Braden Trindle in the 7. Matt Moylan will stay on the bench in the 14. Toby Rudolph, Blake Brayley, Aaron Woods are the 8, 9, 10. Britton Nakora, C.O. Talakai, Jack Williams, 11, 12, 13. The aforementioned Matt Moylan, 14, with Braden Hamlin ULA, Aiden Tolman, and Teague Wilton on the bench. Kai O'Donnell, Billy McGullis, Jensen Taumapiu, and Jonah, I believe it's Jonah Lualua is in the 21 for the Sharkies. For the Broncos, Tessie Newell at back, Coates and Oates, 2 and 3. Sounds like a real bad tribute band, that one. Coates and Oates. Cobbo and Farnworth, the 3 and the 4 with Milford and Kelly, 6 and 7. Milford coming off his best game in a very long time in a Broncos uniform. Tommy Flegler, Payne Haas, the 8 and the 10 with Jakey Turpin starting this week. No coming off the bench for him. Glenn, Ricky, Kobe Hetherington in the 11, 12, and 13. Danny Levi, Reese Kennedy, Ethan Bullimore, TC Rabati, 14, 15, 16, 17. David Mead, Brendan Piakura, Corey Pakes, Brody Croft. That is your extended bench. How do you look at this one? Do you look at the fullbacks? Do you look at the potential wingers? Katoa v. Coates, Hiroti v. Oates? Do you look at what is a makeshift halves from both sides? Lucky Metcalf and Anthony Milford. Braden Trindle and Albert Kelly. Are they the impact players? Can Milford have the same sort of game that he did last week? Do you look at the second rowers? Nakora and Talakai against Glenn and Ricky. Jared Davenport. Broncos for a narrow win. Do I agree with you, Jared? Young sir. It's tough. It's tough, but Jared, I'm going to disagree, mate. I'm going the Sharkies on the 1 to 12 here. The Sharks have everything to play for. Brisbane playing in front of what will be their home crowd for an away game. Yes, that gives them the advantage. But Metcalf, Kennedy, Trindle, I think are a bit more explosive than the Warriors of last week. Yes, the Warriors had Walsh. But would you call Townsend explosive? Probably not. Harris Tavita seemed to be struggling with a bit of an injury. Probably not his explosive best. Luke Metcalf is quick. He is real quick. Braden Trindle, yes, he's the game managing 7, but he is a ball bustler. He's a tackle breaker. Boy can run and run hard. Will Kennedy, if it wasn't for Isaiah Papali'i, he'd be the most improved player of 2021. I have no doubt in my mind. He's established a passing game. His runs are better. He looks stronger, looks quicker, has a short kicking game. I think he's a great player. Out of the same mold as Bubba Kennedy. I think I have no doubt he's going to spend a long, long time in this league. Sharks 1-12 for me. The forward battle is going to be good. The Sharks are going to have to, I don't know how, but they're going to have to shut down Payne Haas. It could be that Rudolph just lines him up. It could be that Tolman and Hamlin-Uele comes on and they line him up, because that's the only way you're going to get Payne Haas to lessen his impact is if you go hard, get up out of the line, get in his face. There's no other way to do it. If the Sharks can do that, they win. If they nullify the Haas impact, they win. If they don't, the Sharks are not playing finals football in 2021. It's as simple as that. Anytime try scorer is very hard not to look at the likes of Coates. Coming off 2 last week in the first half. Probably should have had more, just didn't have that impact in the second. Katoa, a strong finisher, decent in the air, but Coates has the height, has the ability to grab over the head. Katoa can do that. But if I had to flip a coin, I'd go Coates over Katoa. Haas is due. Payne Haas is due for a try. Toby Rudolph has missed the most tackles in 2021 this year. Aaron Woods is not as impactful and has not been for a long time as he once was. Hamlin-Uele seems to get tired pretty quickly. Tolman, I would argue, is the only strong, consistent defensive forward that the Sharks have in their props, I should say. I think Payne Haas gets over. So, yeah, go with that for what you will. Take that for a pinch of salt if you want. Would not surprise me if the Broncos being $2.60 favourites. If Payne Haas is paying something like $7 or $8. I was only paying $5. I thought that'd be less, but there you go, $5. Why not? Again, gamble responsibly, but at $5 against a Sharks defense that's not great through the middle, I think it's worth a pop. Definitely wouldn't surprise me if it at least provides a try assist. I would not be surprised there. For the Sharkies, Will Kennedy's not a bad shout. I think he's a great shout. Young William. Lukey Metcalf as well at some value. If you're looking at the forwards, Talakai v. Glenn, I think Talakai gets over. There's definite options. I'll provide the options here and say Kennedy, Metcalf, Talakai. I won't necessarily propose any as a guaranteed tip, but I will say Sharks 1-12, assuming, this is a strong assumption, assuming they can shut down Payne Haas to an extent. Storm against Parramatta. For those that have watched in previous weeks, you'll know that it has been painful for myself as a Parramatta fan, and young Matthew Wright, who I'm sure is watching this right now, with a well-deserved week off, is just cackling, is absolutely cackling over there in the north of England, knowing that the Storm are going to pump my beloved Parramatta Eels, and it's going to make me very, very sad. But it is what it is. Storm 13 plus. Just before we get into the team lists, there, I think it's inevitable. But we'll go through the team list anyways, as a good correspondent should. For the Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen is in the one. No George Jennings this week. He's gone for what looks to be the season. So Dean Aramea will get the start with Josh Addo-Carr. Remus Smith and Justin Olam are your centres. Munster and Hughes are the 6 and the 7. Jesse Bromwich, Christian Walsh are the 8 and the 10 with the cheese back. He's rested up. He's ready to go. Brandon Smith in the 9. Felice Kafusi, Kenny Bromwich, Chris Lewis, 11, 12 and 13. Harry Grant, Aaron Penne, Tom Eisenhuth, Nico Hines, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Tui Kamikamica. He could be back for the first time in a hot minute from a back injury. He's in the 18 with Isaac Lumi, alongside Tepai Moiroa, Marion Sebe. For the Eels, King Gutherson is in the 1. Ferguson is back. Marcus Sevo, unfortunately, has ruptured his ACL. It is much worse than first thought. So he is out. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Dunster is on the wing with Will Penasini and Wonga Blake in the centres. I know, Jared, you don't have to be sorry, mate. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be brutal to watch. Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses are the 6 and the 7. Isaiah Papali'i and Junior Paulo are the props with Joey Lussick in the 9. Sean Lane, Maratini, Corey, and Nathan Brown are your back row. Ray Stone, Bryce Cartwright, Maka Hesse, Makatawa, and Keegan Hipgrave. We haven't seen him for a hot minute, but he's in the 17 with Will Smith, Oregon Kafusi, Sean Russell, and Jake Arthur on the extended bench. Oh, the pain, knowing that Parramatta are about to get pumped. Jason, Storm need to step it up a notch this close to the finals. I don't know how many more notches they can step up, to be completely honest. They have been too big. They've been too good. They've been too strong. They're on a ridiculous winning streak. I think it's something like 19 now. It's just dumb. It's dumb where they're at the moment. Storm 13 plus. Next game. That's all it is to it. Anytime try scorers. Brandon Smith starts at hooker. He gets to start my anytime try scorer multi. There will be a multi for this one. Brandon Smith at $2.50. I'm all over it. Ryan Pappenhausen at $1.57. I'm all over it. Nico Hines at $2.30. If you have the option to lay that, I would. That said, if the Storm are up 30-36 with 20 minutes to go and Hines jumps on, if you can live bet it, I'd live bet it. So just keep it in mind. Harry Grant, when he comes on at $3, he's in my multi. Both wingers, Aramia and Addo Carr, they're probably both in my multi. I'm going to throw this one up here and put these all together because there's a chance that this could be a $10 or $15 multi here. Addo Carr, Dean Aramia, Ryan Pappenhausen, Brandon Smith, Harry Grant. That's a $28 multi. You need a lot going your way, don't get me wrong. But at $28 with those 5 and the form that Parramatta has been in recently, I'm not putting it past all 5 to get over and more. The other thing that I do want to highlight, and an old friend of the page, young Dane Kerr, also known as the Boomer, put a multi to me on Monday. He sent it to me yesterday. For those that are interested, again, gamble responsibly, but on the pick your own line, you can get up to about 46.5. Now, I don't think the Storm are going to go that bad, but I do think that the Storm win by 30. That currently pays $2.65. If you now look at the next 2 games, the Sunday games, and we will get to it very briefly. Manly and the Dogs. Manly's currently at a 29.5. If they don't win by 40, I'll be very surprised. That pays $3.25. Keep in mind, they do have Tom Trbojevic back. Panthers, Tigers. Tigers, no Adam Dewey. That line currently 28.5. Again, would not be surprised if the Panthers win 40 plus. That pays $3.35. I don't know if this was exactly what the multi was, but if you combine those together, that is currently paying $28.85. Melbourne 29.5, Manly 39.5, Panthers 39.5. It is a thought. For me, I'll probably put $5 on it. But it is what it is. Speaking of Manly, they got to win, and they've got to win big. They're a game behind the Roosters. If the Roosters lose and Manly win, which they're expected to do and very comfortably, they're in the top 4 with a game left and likely a superior points differential. If, and it shouldn't be an if because they won something like 56-0 against the Dogs at Bankwest Stadium earlier this year, but if for some reason Manly lose in Redcliffe, then they're playing elimination football in 2 weeks' time. So you wouldn't think there's a lot on the line against the Dogs, but there is. For Manly 29, minus 29.5 again. That's the tip for me. Tom Trebojevic in the 1. If he doesn't score at least 1, I'll be surprised. Jason Saab, Reuben Garrick on the wings. If they don't score at least 1, I'll be surprised. There's another multi you can throw on. Brad Parker and Morgan Harper, I should say. Matthew, there's one for the blooper reel. With Kieran Foran and Daly Cherry Evans in the halves. Toffa Sipley, Lockie Croker, Martin Tapau, 8, 9, and 10. With Hamoli Olakawatu, he could score. Josh Schuster, he could score. And Jake Trebojevic, he's due. The 11, 12, and 13 with Dylan Walker, Carl Lawton, he can score. Curtis Sirenen and Josh Aloier, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Paul Moses Sully has been dropped just because Parker's back, but he's been a gun. He's in the 18 with Cade Cust, Jake Gazeski, and Kurt DeLewis. For the Dogs, Nick Meaney, Corey Allen, Will Hopewadi, Aaron Schopp, Jaden Ockenball, Lockie Lewis, Kyle Flanagan are your backs. Avarillo not in yet. Avasi Manafanai, Bailey Biondiodo, Jack Hetherington, 8, 9, and 10. Matt Dury, Joe Stimson, Josh Jackson, 11, 12, 13. With Brandon Waken, Ofahiki Ogden, Chris Patolo, and Sione Katoa on the bench. Falakiko Manu, I apologize if I got that wrong. Jackson Topine, Jack Avarillo, Watson Halita. Well, your try scorers for Manly are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Should they play 18, 19, 20, and the 21? I'm sorry. I apologize if you're a Bulldogs fan, but it is what it is. The Dogs should not get remotely close. They should not get close this week. They've got Brandon Wakeham in the 14. I didn't think he was going to play again this year. I honestly thought he was left home. Avarillo will come in, I have no doubt, if he's fit. He's coming back from injury, so that would explain why he's in the extended bench. It's just going to be too strong. It's going to be ugly. The only reason why I would imagine people would watch this game is because they're either a Manly fan, they're watching for their multi, or they're watching for their super coach. That has to be the only reason why people are going to watch this one, because it should be a Manly whitewash. A Manly pick your own line for those who are so inclined for 50.5 is $7.50. Keep in mind that when these two teams last played, it was 66-0 at Bankwest Stadium earlier in the year. It was 36-0 at halftime. If you feel so inclined, at minus 50.5 for $7.50 currently on Sportsbet, I think it's a big shout. It is an absolute shout. On the other hand, if you think the Dogs can win, they're paying $13. Take it for what you will. Anytime try scorers, there is Saab, Yarrick, and Turbo, the 1, the 2, and the 5, are paying $125, $128, and $130. On a same game multi with a Manly 39.5, they're paying $4.50. There is no value. The bet I'm going to give is not currently listed because they don't put out the BYO sports bet tips until later in the week. But if there is an option for two of Turbo, Garrick, Parker, Harper, Saab to score a double, any of those 5 in any sort of BYO multi, you've got to hit it. It was the same 2 weeks ago in the Parramatta game. Parramatta's edges at best are shaky. Garrick, Parker, Saab were $7.50 to score 5 tries between them. They did it with 20 minutes to spare. If any of Garrick, Saab, Turbo, Parker, Harper, and you could probably throw Olakawatu in that one as well. If any of those are in a 3-fer to score 5 tries or more, and it's paying more than $4, you hit it. It's as simple as that. The Doggies should stay at the hotel. It would be the same score. I think the NRL is a 30-0 loss if it's a forfeit, so I think they would be better off staying at the hotel, Jared. I think you might be right. I think that's all we've got to discuss on that one. It is what it is. Moving on. The last game of the round, the Panthers and the Tigers. At the same odds, the Panthers 103, the Tigers at $13. I mean, it's going to be ugly viewing on Sunday. I don't know how the ratings are going to look. Dylan Edwards for the Panthers is in the 1. Crichton and To'o are in the 2 and the 5. To'o is named. Do keep in mind that Taylor May and Isaac Targo are both on the bench, as well as the Forbes Ferrari and Charlie Staines. Momorovsky, the Serbian potential, and Matt Burton in the 3 and the 4 with Luai and Cleary the halves. Leota, Coruscant, and Fisher Harris 8, 9, and 10. Kick out Capewell Yo, your back row with Mitch Kenny, Scott Sorensen, Tabita Pangai Jr., and Liam Martin on the pine. The aforementioned Targo, Taylor May, Tyrone May, Charlie Staines are the 18, 19, 20, and 21. Anytime try scorers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know the drill. Run it in. For the Tigers, Moses Mbai is at the back with Nof Luma and Ken Mamalo. If a Tiger does score, it's Kenny Boy. Talau, Cheekham in the centres. Jock Madden is back. Praise the Lord. The jock strap has returned. He's in the 6 with Lukey Brooks in the 7. Tommy McKaylee, fresh off a contract extension, will be alongside Stefano Utoikamanu, who's been lights out for the Tigers this year. Jacob Little is back in the 9. Sean Bloor, Luciano Leilua, Alex Twal are your back rowers. Joe Offahengawi, Jake Simpkin, Tom Amone, Alex Seyfarth are on the bench. James Roberts, Billy Walters, Tukey Simpkins, Zach Cheney, the extended bench. The Panthers. Pick your own line. Scroll all the way. 46.5 is paying $6. I know I said 39.5, but if you think they can raise the bat and then some, $6. I mean, you could go wild and say Storm 39.5, Manly 39.5, Panthers 39.5, and probably make it the best bet of a $50, $60 multi, and it's not out of the realm. So have a look. Again, gamble responsibly. I think we can't stress that enough. We're only giving tips. If you don't have the money, don't bet it. Anytime try scorer for the Panthers. I mean, take your pick, really. Billy Kickout at $2 is value. Paul Momorovsky at $2.10 on the outside there is value. Appy Coruscant at $3. He could easily scoot through from dummy half. Appreciate you. Hey, watching us live on YouTube on the CKM Rugby League channel. We appreciate your support, my friend. You reckon, Jared? Jared, I'm willing to give 30 seconds here, mate. If you wanna give me a reason as to why they'll put up a fight here, I'll happily run through the try scorers and then we'll have a chat about it. But I just don't see it, man. I know that they're playing for a finals berth. I know they've won 2 out of their last 5, but for the first 5 minutes, there it is. That's what I was expecting. Mathematically, the Tigers can still make it. They're not going to. I mean, mathematically, the Tigers can still come 9th. It won't happen. If I had to pick a Tigers player for an anytime try scorer bet, Kenny Mamalo going up against To'o and Crichton. Yes, maybe. Talavi, Burton, chance. Luciano against the Tyron Kickout, maybe. But these are all maybes. The Panthers they're a well-oiled machine. They've had their crap show. They've had their couple of dud games. But there's no other result that I see outside of Panthers at least 30 plus. I'll be more than happy to be wrong. More than happy to be wrong. But a Tigers side without Adam Dewey, who has a partially torn ACL, I just don't see it, man. I really don't. But on that note, we'll end it there. You've got my tips again. 55 minutes. You guys have done well if you hung around for the majority of it. We appreciate you, Matthew. Enjoy your week off, brother. You've earned it. You've had it tough over there with England going as it is, mate. But hopefully you've enjoyed the week off. Hopefully you all, wherever you've tuned from, Facebook or YouTube, enjoy it. The individual games will be on Recast, so please, by all means, go to recast.app, search for CKM Red Rugby League. You can see all our individual game previews. Go have a look. If we're right, you beauty. We're not going to say no to any donations. If we're wrong, feel free to bag us out. Honestly, it wouldn't be the first time. But that is it for me. We will see you at 7 o'clock next week for the Round 25 NRL preview. And until then, it's bye-bye for now.